and welcome to TNM Coaching Unplugged and Zoro Rich Interconnected podcast. As always, I'm so grateful and happy to have you listening to us. And today we have a beautiful, lovely topic that I love to discuss. This is all about healing, knowing how to heal ourselves, knowing how to transform ourselves, how to create this best possible version of ourselves as well, understanding our physical health, our mental health, our spiritual health, and beyond. So it's all about healing today, which is absolutely beautiful. And I know a lot of you listened to one of the podcasts that we recorded a year ago that was on a similar topic, and this was one of the most listened podcasts we have had on our channel. So I'm sure this is going to be absolutely wonderful for all of you. And today we have a very special guest with us, Dipika Wishart. Dipika, it's a powerhouse healer. She's a spiritual guide. She is integrating mind, body, and soul in her transformational 0-point reset session. She's also an acupuncturist for over 20 years. And we're going to talk about her healing journey because it's very interesting how she decided to become a healer. I'm going to ask her that question. In her practice, she combines acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine, Taoist stone medicine, Egyptian science, biometry, theta healing, and so on and so forth. She's a wonderful human being. And we're so lucky to have her with us. So Dipika, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Zoran. That was a very wonderful introduction. Very happy to be here. Thank you for asking me to be with you.
And beautiful setting. Usually I have virtual setting. And then you came from nature. For the people who are watching it, for people who are listening, you can see it on YouTube as well. There's this wonderful nature behind her and wonderful nature behind me. We're just in the process of exuberating and sending good vibrations, right?
Yeah, exactly. So important to stay connected, right?
So when I was introducing you, part of your bio is that your healing journey at age of 19 started with something really special. Do you mind sharing with us how did you started all of that in your life? What happened?
Yeah, well, actually, it started when I was very young. My nickname used to be Dr. Dippy. And that was when I was 7, 8 years old. And my mother used to ask me what I wanted to be. And at the time, I didn't think I was going to be a doctor, but I said I wanted to be a witch, and I believe that's what I am. And she said, no. And then it was a magician. And then it was, it goes through its usual phases. But I ended up actually getting a little bit lost in my teens. And because of what society kept on telling me I could be, what I couldn't be, what I should do, because I had to earn a certain amount of money, etc. And which wasn't really in the list that I could be. But then when I was 19, I had a car accident. And in Indian teachings, we say it's when Krishna showed up. And it was really, Krishna shows up to put you on your path, because I was really off my path. I was going off on a place that I was losing myself again. And after this car accident, I couldn't really walk, and I couldn't stand up very well. So I went from a very active lifestyle, going out clubbing, going to the gym, to discovering yoga. And then through this practice of discovering yoga, I started to meet all of these alternative healers and started to understand that there was a whole new way of healing that I hadn't been exposed to before. Right. And this is actually where I started to explore alternative healing. But I had no idea about acupuncture, and I really did not like needles. I still don't. But it was, I think in the live that we did, I mentioned that I have this strong inner voice, and it was the inner voice that said to me, "You need to study acupuncture." And I had a discussion with myself about that because I didn't like needles. But I followed the intuition, I followed the guidance, and I applied to university, and I got accepted. And in the meantime, started having acupuncture with this incredible Chinese master. And even then I didn't really like the needles, but it set me, that was the beginning of actually the path that I'm on now. Yeah.
And did you go all the way to China, or where was the master?
Yeah, so no, the master was actually in Richmond. He was a great master, and he was probably the best acupuncturist I've ever come across myself.
Right.
I studied, I did a 3-year degree, science degree at Westminster in London, because I knew I needed a good basis, because Ayurveda was something that I would have loved to have studied, but There was still, now only maybe a diploma in it, and I knew I needed a good foundation as well. But after that, I went to China for a couple of months and I practiced in the hospitals over there. We saw 40 patients every morning for 2 months. And we studied with the teachers and the masters in the afternoon about all the theory, which was also very different to what we were already learning. They used, reusable needles, and they put them in much deeper than we were trained to do. So I really that's where I saw the power of Chinese medicine, because from learning about how to treat stomach aches and headaches, I started to see people walking and talking again after having a stroke, full recovery. I saw somebody who'd had a road traffic accident after day 8 of acupuncture starting to walk again, and she was paralyzed when she started the treatment. So when I started to see these kinds of recovery possible from Chinese medicine, it's when I really understood why I needed to do this, and really the power of this body that can heal itself, because that's where I understood, yes, well, we were trained in the old-fashioned way. You're a doctor, this is your patient, and you tell the patient what to do. But I really started to understand myself that the acupuncture was stimulating the body's own healing mechanism through the nervous system, through the endorphins, through lowering the cortisol levels, through firing up places that weren't firing. And that's when I started to understand, wow, hey, so actually the acupuncture is just stimulating the body's own healing response. This is incredible. Why are we not all doing this?
Exactly. Why are we not doing this, even if you don't like needles, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I love acupuncture. I was never afraid of needles and actually like them. And I've tried it so many times because I was very privileged to work in China and still working in China. So every time I would go to China, I would have the sessions with acupuncturists there. And my body really, really, really transformed through the power of acupuncture. I know exactly what you're talking about, which is that initiation to body to heal itself, right? Like a clue that body can heal itself. Why is it so difficult for us to believe that body can heal itself? What we all know that's the reality, but somehow people have, including myself, trouble believing that. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I didn't know anything about acupuncture until I was in my 20s, and that's pretty early for someone these days. Now it's coming out more and more, but then when I started practicing, it wasn't. And I mean, I thought that being a doctor was the only way to do medicine. And that system of medicine is flawed because they're only prescribing you symptomatic relief, which made me always think, well, there's something wrong with me and somebody else needs to fix it for me. I was never given the education except for when I went to India and I sat with my grandparents. And my grandparents would tell me, cover your neck in the wind, don't drink cold water in the winter. And a few different things that I thought, oh, well, why are they saying that? Because in the Western system that I grew up in, it didn't matter what I did. And then once I started learning Chinese medicine, I started to understand, here we go, we're living in tune with the seasons. Therefore, this is how the body remains in harmony. But we're not taught this education. And I just feel like this school of life that, about how to look after ourselves, how to heal ourselves, all those home remedies, all those grandmother's remedies and all these little things that we were told when I was younger, I didn't believe it because most of society said, oh no, that doesn't work. Here's a pill. You need the drugs to fix you. You need the vaccination to protect you. You need something to make you sleep. And if you're depressed, here you go, fix that with something else. There was never the idea that I could actually sort myself out by eating the right foods or drinking the right thing or sleeping or exercising or taking the right remedies. And I mean, when you go to places like Lithuania that I went to this summer, I mean, there's still a stronger lineage of that, home remedies and how to heal yourself. But I think we've lost it quite a lot in the West, right? I mean, people have been told to give their power away. I mean, I was trained like that. You're the doctor, here's the patient. You tell the patient what to do. Never explain to the patient what's going on so you can help them help themselves. That's something I decided to do. So yeah, I mean, that's what I feel. What do you think?
No, I feel that as well. I think that's something that is coming more and more back to us. And I'm still, talking to people around that. And there is a little belief somewhere in there that wants to believe this is possible. But I also see the programming, it's too strong, that we're going to bypass it very quickly by taking some pill, and that pill is going to create that symptom, and that symptom is going to heal me instantaneously. And I think that, more and more of us are awakening that, this is an organic process when we have power to heal everything in our life, right? And for me, that's the most important belief that we can uphold when it comes to our self-healing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look at what Dr. Joe Dispenza's doing, right? He's getting thousands of people to move into this way of thinking, which is, hey, look, the power of it is in your mind. You can heal yourself, like take your power back. So I'm really happy and grateful for people like him because he's translating it to thousands of people. And I believe that this is now the new way that we're going to be all going on, which is why I believe that more and more healers need to really step online. And I mentor healers as well, just as one of the things that I do, because I believe that we all need to just become more empowered in ourselves, that we actually know what we're doing, and to be able to help other people, because more and more people are waking up to the fact that, hey, we can learn for ourselves. We don't need to give our power away. And actually, these guys that we give our power away to aren't necessarily looking out for our best interest, or have the time that they need to look after us.
Exactly. There's a time as well when you sit in front of the doctor and it just types away in the computer, and they don't have time to connect. So being a healer, it's a calling, right? So is that something that you felt in your life since you were a little Dr. DP? Was that calling from your soul?
For me, yeah. For me, yes. It was, I almost felt like I had no choice. This was something that I always did. I always cared for people. I always looked out for people. I always wanted to know how to help people. I was always interested in all these things that my grandparents taught me. In India, I loved the fact that the medicine there was, you had the option of homeopathy, allopathy, the Ayurveda. You've got 3 choices of medicine. So I've always been interested in it. And I think for me, it was a very clear calling, hence the nickname Dr. Dippy. I mean, now it's kind of more the alchemist, because I make all sorts of things that are basically going back to my witchy woo roots, which my mother recently said.
Finding that, or just that I'm going to be a doctor. So it's an alchemical combination of both. So when people come to you nowadays, for people who are listening and say, wow, I really feel strongly pulled to energy, how can you support people? What is it that you would offer, so to say, when it comes to addressing any issue that somebody might have?
Yeah, well, I start always with a one-on-one consultation for 20 minutes minimum, and say, listen, call me, talk to me about something, because if I can't help you, I will find somebody who can help you. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, if you think that maybe there's something I can help you with, or you're just feeling the calling, it starts with a call, just to chat and see what you need. And then there's various ways of working with me. I mean, there's a one-on-one working with the 0-point reset, or just acupuncture on its own, which is a very powerful medicine for people who just want to go through deep physical healing and not necessarily work with the mind. Although I have to say, Zoran, I almost can't not do it all anymore. I admit that to people, because I don't see how we can heal unless we work on all these different levels. So the mental, the spiritual.
Yeah. Just keep on interrupt your mental, spiritual.
Yeah, mental, spiritual, physical. So yeah, exactly. So I can because once I put my hands on people, I will start to pick up things. So there is the physical hands-on work that I do called the 0-point reset, which helps you come back into stillness and into that 0 point. It combines acupuncture, energy healing, presence, love, listening, so people can really find that stillness within themselves to then reconnect and start to connect with the inner wisdom that they have. And then also get some guidance too. I also work online with people who want to just go through some kind of mentoring and have some compassionate presence. Because again, I mentor, or I coach, or whatever anybody needs. I work with couples.
Right.
I work in groups online. I work in groups in person. I offer workshops. to teach people skills like I did on yesterday, you know. So there's various different ways I can work with people. And then I also trained in psychedelic assisted therapy years ago. So I started working with plant and fungi elixirs 10 years ago. So once people are at that place that they want to go deeper, I always say, you know, all of these things that we use, they're just tools. They're not the answer. So even people, I know the plant medicine world has now become very, very popular. But I really stress that all of these things are there to help move you into the next layer of consciousness, but only you can navigate through that. They are not the way that you move through into a different consciousness. So, yeah, a variety of different ways and different paths, but all of it starts with just having a conversation with me.
And I love that you said that, you know, the profound healing actually happens with integration of all these different aspects of ourselves, our mental body, our physical body, our emotional, spiritual body, because they're all interconnected, right? So we cannot just isolate. We have to address all of them in congruency in order for the transformational result to happen. And you also mentioned when we spoke in our live on EG Live that, you know, gentleness is a very important part of your healing process. Tell me a little bit more about that, because I love that. Yeah, I've emphasized this when I've listened to you for the first time, that gentle approach. What is that about? And why is it so needed within the healing space?
Well, it comes from my own experience. I was extremely tough on myself, expecting myself to change and to move. And why am I back here again? And what am I doing? And here I've just made the same mistake again. And I'm so terrible. And I must suffer because I must work harder. You know, that same old thing that actually came from school, came from being young, came from life, work, all of that. And then I just ended up in that same loop that I was trying to get out of, which was that sabotaging and also deflating cycle, which meant that I just thought, oh, you know, stuff this. I'm not doing it anyway. I can't get better. There's something wrong with me. I can't be fixed. And then I think it was through having my son that I started to see that when I did the same thing to him, he reflected back to me that he didn't feel good. You know, it didn't help him. And I started to understand through this mirroring that he did with me that actually he was asking for more gentle presence and attention and love and care, because it really affected him if I tried to go in hard. And I started to shift that with everybody. You know, with everybody I worked with, as my son mirrored it to me, I started to see how tough we all are on ourselves, and myself included. So obviously, like it all happens, you know, I shift and then everything else shifts alongside that. And I started to understand compassion, because I didn't even know the word compassion. I didn't even know what love meant. I mean, until I had my son, I just didn't know what unconditional love meant. So as I started to understand what compassion means and kindness and gentleness, I started to do that with myself. I stopped being so hard on myself and started being much more loving and forgiving with myself when I made the same mistake over and over and over again, or eat something, or bit my nails, or did the things that I didn't want to do. And then I started doing that more with other people, but that was more in the talking work. My hands-on work, I think, has always been extremely gentle. Using needles, you've got to be very gentle. You know, because the experience that people get is very strong. A lot of people will say, are you using special needles? Because I've never felt things move in my body like this before. So it's not that the effect is gentle, the effect is very strong. Mm-hmm. But as I did more and more energy healing work, which came in later in my career, I started to see that the less I did, the more that moved. And that whole thing about less is more really started to make sense. Like, if I just held that body in stillness and just touched their bones, so the 0 point reset involves putting my hands on their bones, on their spine, so underneath. And it's about finding that touch where there's no push or pull. And it's really quite an interesting experience, because you have to become so present to just touch the bone and say, hey, I'm here. No, I'm not telling you to do anything, and I'm not telling you where to go. You get to decide what to do. People would start to relax really deeply into it. And that was again another teaching for me, like, okay, I'm not here to do anything. I'm here to presence this person in front of me, and they're going to show me what they need. And in response to that, it's always gentle, loving presence, because everybody just wants to be loved and love. You know, this kindness. And I mean, it's not easy for us to be so kind and gentle to ourselves. But in my healing work and when people are on the table, for example, it's about holding them in a very gentle, safe, loving way so their body can do the healing that it needs to do. And then when they get off and they've had this insight and remembering of something that's happened, it's again coming back to being able to forgive themselves, or often the tears come because they can feel the softening happening because we're all just a bit tough on ourselves. So it's a process. I'm still learning with everybody.
Absolutely, but beautiful. I mean, when you're talking, you know, the energy is felt. You know, this is the reason why I want to share this again, because I think it's so much of that pressure that we put on ourselves, especially when we're in a healing crisis. You know, people who are not just coming to heal because they have some kind of disharmony, but people who are sick, for example, you know, they put a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations on their body to do this instantaneously. There is a lot of guilt and pain and projection. So I think that what you're bringing through with this gentleness of 0 point and allowing the body to be present is so important as a prerequisite for healing to kick in. This is how I feel it in my body when you're talking about it, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the body really knows how to heal itself. And when it's given the safe space, the right condition, it does it, because we have the best pharmacy within us. Like nothing beats that. But often we don't feel that we can rest completely to allow that to happen. And that's what I feel that I give in my session.
And this is what I wanted to ask you as well, because I know that some of our audience, they're living in the big cities, they're disconnected from the nature, they live busy lives. You know, some people work very hard, some people commute every day, some people have school runs and rushes and homeworks, and it's not that easy to create these circumstances to heal. So what would you say to people who are running or living this hectic life that everybody's talking about? And everybody's saying our life is so hectic, time is speeding up, everything is moving, everything is shifting, and people are buying into this narrative and the story of hectic life, and they're living it and they want to heal. What would you say to people like that? What is necessary? What are the steps that they need to take in their hectic life to step into the healing journey if they require one?
I mean, what a big question. Well, I ask people to prioritize what is more important. Is your lifestyle more important, or is your health more important? Because as soon as you prioritize, you've got you can make the change. I know that if we haven't got our health, we haven't got anything. And I mean, there's people here also on the island, that have the same, oh no, I'm too busy, I can't do this, I can't do that. But I share a story from earlier this year in February. I think there was, it was on the Friday, I had news of a friend that had committed suicide. And then I thought, wow, okay, this was a surprise for me, just dealing with the light. And then on Saturday, I found out about a second friend who also committed suicide. And that was a big one for me because she was close to me. And then on Sunday morning, I was supposed to be meeting a friend, and her mother had just dropped dead in the bathroom in France. And so I spent the day with her, and then on Monday I took her to the airport, and then on Monday I found out about another friend that dropped dead while he was practicing yoga.
Wow.
And I tell you, and then on the fifth day, this is a project that I was working on that was actually a bit of a dream project, also completely fell apart. And in that moment, I was I was obviously devastated. And at the same time, I experienced gratitude for life, like real understanding of the preciousness of our life and waking up to have one more day of life. And it reminded me of, and maybe it was even Sadhguru, who said, what makes you think you're going to get up in the morning? What makes you think you're going to go to sleep and then you're going to get up in the morning? And I thought, well, that's really negative. That's really a bit pessimistic. But I got it. Like, we are in a time, especially with what's gone on and where we've been, that we might not wake up in the morning. But I started to talk to my son and say, listen, that we're really lucky to be alive, and right now we've got each other. But if I go out and I might not come back, which was very difficult for him at the beginning, but it shifted his perspective into being grateful for life and doing the right things that he also needs to do, because he also gets carried away. So I often share that story when people find every single excuse to not look after themselves and to not prioritize their family, to not prioritize their health, to not prioritize their passions, their joy, and to believe that they must, do this, do that, run around. Their kids need to go to 5 different after-school activities, that they need to work this job 6 days a week. I bring it back to that. If you had 3 days to live, how would you change your life? Because that's when it gets, the reality is every day you're lucky to have another day of life. And it keeps on coming back as the quickest way to help people understand that we are taking life for granted every single day, and we might not be alive tomorrow. So what is more important? Running around, being stressed, driving, or drinking water, breathing, sleeping well, looking after your kids.
Beautiful wake-up story. I love it. I'm going to play it on replay again and again and again. But I struggle with, because I do struggle also in my coaching practice with the same thing. People are too busy, too hectic, too engaged, are not willing, to take time to heal and transform, and then also complaining, and they're getting into addictions and numbing themselves to be able to sustain that life. So it's a really beautiful story and eye-opener, how you put it to everybody, including myself, to wake up in reality of gratitude. And that also gets me to the next level. How important is gratitude in healing process? Because I've heard sometimes healer will tell you need to be grateful for this disharmony in your body, and you need to be grateful that you had this. It's teaching you something. And sometimes it's super important for people to arrive to that point of being grateful for that struggle they have in their life. So from your opinion, how important is that?
Yeah, I it's hard with the gratitude thing, because now I feel it. And I did the gratitude journal for 3 months. I test everything that people say, okay, I'm going to do it for 3 months, like they said, and see what happens. Gratitude really is something that you feel, and you have to practice it, I guess. But I guess I don't use the word gratitude when it comes to these messages that come in our bodies. But I do say thank you, because your body's showing you where the disharmony is, so you can go there and heal it. Just say thank you, because it's giving you the messages that you need. Say thank you. This is horrible. I'm suffering. I don't like it, but thank you. Thank you, and don't ignore it. Don't bypass it, because it will only get louder and louder. And then I get to the point where I say to people, it will slap you in the face. I promise you. I've seen it now enough times to know that if you keep on doing that, or this is showing up and you ignore it, it will only get worse. It will only get louder.
Is that how the body communicates if you tell it?
Totally. 100%.
So it's cruel to be kind in a way, like listen to me.
Yeah, exactly. And it's amazing how people leave things till, so there's menstruation, for example. Menstruation is something that we need a lot of education on as well for women. And we sit and we suffer with things. And there's women that have suffered with the most terrible menstrual cramps for 20 years because they just put up with it. But if it's debilitating your life, surely there's something you're going to do about it. But no, people don't do anything about it. Then they happen to come across something because actually it's got so bad that it's turned into fibroids and something else, and oh, they can't get pregnant. And then they come and see me and I say, well, you know, within 3 months, even less now, but because healing is happening faster, but within 3 months, you could be rid of those menstrual pains and that's it. And you should not have menstrual pains when you are menstruating. You should not. And then within 3 months, there's no menstrual pain. And they can't believe it. That we put up with so much pain.
Yeah, we do.
Because we don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
I know. I completely agree with that. We put up with so much pain because we don't know. And it also make it normal. You know, because everybody's talking about this is a normal part of life. You know, pain is here. Pain is to stay. You must experience pain. I was just thinking, honestly, I was thinking about it this morning. I had yoga practice this morning and I was in a position which was a very new position for me. And I was really in discomfort and pain. And I was tuning into that part of me this morning. I was feeling, what is this pain for? What is this teaching me? What is this educating me? How can I love it and transform it in my body so that I can release it? Because I don't think this is natural for me to be in that pose and feel that much pain in my life. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Didn't say, okay, this is normal because I'm sitting too much and because I'm stretching my lower part of the body and because of my sitting position, that's why I have pain. I knew that this is something that I need to work on. And I think this is the attitude, you know, that pain is informing us, right? There's some work to be done. Yeah, great.
Just need to listen a little bit more. And then there's people that actually, you're aware, you're reflecting, you're contemplating, you're questioning, you're curious, you're inquiring, you're asking those questions. But then there's other people that actually just don't even feel it. You know, don't feel it because, like I say, they've normalized it so much that they think, but what do you mean? This is something that I shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you believe that right now, I'm just going to ask you another big question towards the end of our podcast, you know, do you believe that are we entering into the new era where healing and health and it's going to become a new normal? Do you believe that we as a humanity, we're waking up into this new dimension of the planet Earth, dimension of ourselves, and we are actually called to activate our healing abilities and learn how to heal ourselves 100%?
I believe so. I believe that's why a lot more people are inquiring. I mean, healing and health and mental health and things like this have become the most commonly searched terms, I think, on Google, on Amazon and everything, because more and more people are realizing, hold on, I can do something about this and I want to do something about this. And that's the best bit. It's like, I want to do something about this. I want to understand myself. I want to take care of myself because our national health systems are falling apart. So they can't even cope with things, you know, so we actually have no choice in a way, which is great, is to go back to like, we've got to help ourselves. We've got to grow our own food. We've got to learn how all those home remedies again. We've got to start exercising. We can't, you know, can't just go for treatments every time and get better. No, we need to exercise daily for 15 minutes. That's it. We need to drink enough water. With these basic foundations in place, we can actually really feel good about ourselves. And hey, what's left unless we feel good about ourselves? Because the rest of the world is in chaos. Mm-hmm. And we now know we can no longer trust everything that we see or hear on the outside. So we have to go inwards. And I think this is why, you know, you, me, all these other people in these healing fields are being asked to start to share more wisdom, to be able to help people in bigger ways, because we can no longer, even like myself as well, just work one-on-one. We've got to go bigger because more and more people are waking up to our own innate power. Yeah. Of
course, because that power is rising. And I think that's so important that people who are listening, that you're not alone, because, you know, sometimes we believe that we are the ones who are requiring or inquiring about the healing to ourselves, healing the planet, healing the universe, healing beyond. But this is a new way of us coexisting as a humanity. And I think it's super important for all of us to wake up into that reality and take full responsibility in the most beautiful way. Because sometimes when I use word responsibility, especially with my clients, when I talk to them, it feels like heavy and burdensome. You know, I need to be responsible for something, but I mean responsibility in a good, positive way. To heal yourself, 100% be able to transform then the world around you.
Yeah, because it is our responsibility to help ourselves. It is our responsibility. I mean, yes, we can sit and complain, but there's nothing that's going to change. But if you say, okay, I'm going to help myself. I need help with this. I'm going to go to Zoran, or I need help with this. I'm going to go to Dipika. I mean, just actually understanding that this person can help me with this and this person can help me with this. And then what I do is I take that and I have the duty to myself as a human being to put that into action and to continue and not be dependent on somebody else all the time, to be a responsible human being for your own health, for your own mental health. I mean, this is that empowerment that we're talking. That's what we're both doing, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Dr. Dipi, how would you like to live with, what is your call for action when you think about now from your heart, from your soul? Where would you like to leave audience with? What would you like them to do or be or practice or play or experiment as a result of listening to this conversation today?
Well, I mean, I know that I can, if you're one of these people that is curious about themselves and wants to understand themselves better, I can help. If you're one of those people that get stuck in loops with health problems over and over again, as sick of seeing doctors, I can help, because I want to be able to educate people to know how to take care of themselves and also how to look for information when they can't take care of themselves. And someone like myself is, my approach is really unique because I bring in the teachings from the Chinese, the Indian, and the Egyptian lineage. That's where so I have the alchemy of all of these three. And I have some tips that I would love to share right now as well, just for people, just some basic stuff, which is, drink enough water. It's really, really important to drink the water. The number of conditions that we could help if we just drink enough water. And that doesn't mean drinking 3 liters. That means drinking water that even potentially has a pinch of salt or a bit of lemon. We call it nimbu pani in India because it's a hydrolyte. Especially here in Ibiza, we don't have the best water. So if you start the day with some warm water, a pinch of salt, squeeze of lemon, you will hydrate your body. And to continue that, you can continue putting a pinch of lemon in there as well. Yesterday we were doing a course and it was about cosmetic treatment, but it was also about anti-aging, right? Like, how can we prevent ourselves from aging? Yes, we have emotional expressions, but one of my teachers said to me, the most important thing that you can do for your own health and rejuvenation is to really go for the things, the foods, the activities, the clothes that make you go, yummy, like we talked about that body response, to go to a restaurant, to go down the menu and to pick the first dish that makes you excited. Same with the food in a shop, because it reminds me of exactly what they taught us in India now with the Ayurveda. The sweet pleasures of life are what keep us young and healthy and happy. So don't deny yourself that juicy pleasures of life. Like, there's a line between indulgence and but we know that. Okay. And then it's really important also, we've become a little bit phobic around sugar and salt. But really, in order to keep our bodies in harmony, we need all those flavors. We need sweetness in our life. We need salty. We need spicy. We need sour. We need bitter. Like, we need a variety of flavors in our life. I mean, that's emotional, but that's also from our food that keeps us healthy. So go for that sweetness. Don't worry about putting a little bit of salt in your food. We need more. Some people actually need much more salt because they're not putting any. So these are some things that I just wanted to bring up. I have a couple of acupuncture points that are really good. All right, so this is like for headaches or stress or anything actually in the face, for sinus problems or allergies or actually just calming the mind. This is the first one. It's this one called large intestine 4. So it's between the thumb and the forefinger. And it's in that muscle there, okay, on both sides. It can be quite tender if you have a cold or a headache. It can be really, really tender. The other one is on the sole of the foot. So it's on the sole of the foot, and it's where you would maybe roll a ball on the sole of your foot. That little, between the bed, there's a little arch there, and it is a really good point ground. So if you're ever feeling stressed, I would say walk barefoot or roll a ball underneath your feet, or massage that point, and it really descends the energy. And the other point is called liver 3. and it's on the top of the foot, almost opposite to that point on the sole. And that is very, very calming and also very good for headaches, because anything that's on the feet will draw away energy from the head. So most of us are spending way too much time in the upper part of our body, way too much energy up here, hence all the headaches and stress and anxiety and things. If we can go downwards into our feet, put our feet in warm water, walk barefoot, massage our feet, we will instantaneously descend the energy, and that will remove a lot of stress from the body. You don't need to go anywhere. You can just go to the sauna and do that on your feet, and you'll feel much more grounded and much calmer. But I also wanted to offer all of your listeners a free gift if they subscribe to my newsletter, which is a quarterly newsletter with, tips and tricks to stay in tune with the seasons and in harmony and health and things like this, which we will give out in the next few weeks.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, and generous offer for tips and tricks. We all love them, and thank you so much for this view that I'm going to practice, and I know everybody else is going to practice. Now I understand why my auntie was always putting her feet into the warm water, and I was always like, why would you do that? I mean, it was just like, this is so good for you. And I was like, really? The warm water with you? And I said, yeah, just try it out. Now I understand why she was doing it.
Yeah.
That's wisdom. Isn't that fascinating? How we know what we need to know. You just lost it in a way, and you are the way shower, and you're getting us and helping us to remember. Yeah, thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
And for your wonderful sharing today. And for the audience, thank you so much for tuning in. It was lovely to listen to this. And, when you listen to this, listen to it again, especially the last part, and also subscribe to hear more. And we will share Dipika's news with her new website that you can subscribe and learn more about her work, and also about tips and tricks about how to stay healthy, about balance, and so on and so forth. Dipika, once again, thank you so much for coming to this podcast, and bye for now.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.